Okay, so thank you guys for being on this morning and hopping on. I have a little bit of an intro, but nothing too big for these girls. I want them to kind of get started and take off and spend as much time. I would imagine they'll be available to ask or answer questions at the end. Make sure that you have something to kind of write down some notes, jot down questions if they pop up, or put them in the chat and they can answer them at the end. But I was kind of asking in a little leadership pod that we have. So whenever you hit diamond, we put you in a little pod so that we can kind of talk about things going on in our team, things that are happening, brainstorm and things like that. And I've kind of wanted these ladies, it's Kristen, Heather, and Jessica, to chat with us for the main reason of, one, like business-wise, each of them have been rank advancing or going into qualification within the past month or two. They are helping an extremely large amount of people every single month. And then also, I just get this like vibe from them. I can't even describe it, but like I get this like, I want to be a part of what they're doing, even though like I am doing what they're doing. Like I still want to be a part of like their little crew, and I want to be a part of whatever it is that they're doing. And so it's like this ripple effect that I can tell that other people can just feel what's going on in their team. They can feel what's going on. And I see them as like this like unit, like they're just like crushing goals and have this like mission that's kind of bigger than themselves. And I think that is so overlooked in what we do. You know, we get really focused on like me, my goals, what am I doing? And I feel like they just have this like momentum going all together. And so I wanted them to share just a little bit. I know the idea of like team culture is kind of fluffy. It's kind of hard to wrap your brain around, but they just have something special going on. And so I cannot wait for them to share with us this morning. So I am going to leave it to them and can't wait to learn from you girls.
Thank you, Meg. Oh my gosh, we're so excited and a little bit nervous because it definitely is kind of hard to quantify and put into like coachable, teachable terms, like building a culture for your team and for your community. And so I wanted to share a little bit like about our backstory, because I know a lot of people on our team know that myself and Jess, we were both previously coaches on another team. And the team that we came from, we did not have the best Beachbody experience. And we ended up dealing with kind of like the grown-up mean girl situation. I vividly remember right before I stepped away as a coach, I'd stepped away and come back. And when I did that, I remember getting a text message from one of the girls on our team when I was talking about going to Summit, telling me that everybody would be better off if I stayed home and that nobody wanted me to come. And the same girl telling Jess that if I came, she wasn't allowed to hang out with them. And so it's like, that was kind of the breaking point for me, where I was like, okay, this is not a healthy place for me. This is not somewhere where I can ever grow a business. And honestly, like deciding to stop coaching was one of the hardest things that I ever did, because I love being a coach. I love helping other women, and I found so much passion and purpose in this. And so it was a really hard choice for me to say, I'm going to walk away from this. But I knew in the moment that it just wasn't a healthy place for me, and it wasn't somewhere where I felt like I could grow. And so I completely stepped back from Beachbody for, I guess, a year and a half almost. And 2018 was one of the hardest years of my life, just all over in general. And when I decided to step back into coaching in 2019, I really took a long, hard thought process and a lot of prayer, and just deciding like, you know, I truly felt like God had called me to this business and to use it as a platform to be able to help inspire, encourage, and motivate other people. And so I knew as I stepped back into coaching that I knew what it was like to step into this situation and to feel like you were uninvited. And so I knew coming back into coaching that I never wanted somebody to come to our team and feel like they were anything less than loved, invited, celebrated, encouraged every single day, because I knew what it was like to be on the other side of that and to not feel like you were welcome. And so for me, as I was sitting down and I'm like thinking about my why and my purpose behind it, I was like, I want women to come into this and I want them to find confidence. I want them to feel welcome. I want them to feel like they're a part of something that's bigger than themselves, because really, if we're doing this coaching gig right, it's so much bigger than just about us. And like, my purpose in this isn't just that I would find success. I mean, like, we all want to hit goals and we all want to rank advance, and that's fantastic. But it's like, for me, watching them hit diamond, watching other girls seeing success, like, that is what fires me up and gets me so excited, because like, really truly, like, I'm more excited to celebrate them when they hit a goal than when I hit one. And so like, my purpose goes so much deeper than just, oh, I want to be a star diamond, or I want to hit Success Club, or I want to do this, or I want to do that. It truly is about like, how can I help other women find success in this? How can I, as a coach, every single day make the people on my team feel celebrated for the things that they do, not just for the big things either. Like, I don't want my girls to think that I'm only celebrating them for being diamond. I want to celebrate you when you help your first person. I want to celebrate you if you only help one person in a month, because you might totally change that one person's life. I want to celebrate you if the only paycheck you made this month was $40 and you took yourself to get a massage. Like, I want everybody on our team to feel celebrated and welcomed and invited. And so we like created a text message thread for our team, and you know, like, our team texts back and forth on a regular basis, and we just, it's not even always just about Beachbody stuff either. Like, it's about life. Like, these girls know that they can reach out to us and be like, hey, my husband has this going on, can you pray for him? And like, we're gonna pray for your husband for you. And like, we share personal development back and forth with each other, and devotionals or awesome worship songs or whatever it may be. And like, I think that just the way that we continuously pour into each other, the culture of what we do permeates everything. And I feel like, because it's so strong, when somebody comes into this with us, they can't help but to be impacted by it and to be a part of it. And I just think that that's so exciting and that's so special. And because it's something that I didn't have before, it's also something that I never take for granted. There's not a single day that I wake up and take for granted the fact that we have an absolutely phenomenal, incredible team, and that I'm so blessed to be surrounded by amazing women who really, truly, at the end of the day, have everybody's best interest at heart. And that doesn't even have anything to do with coaching. Like, on a whole personal level, we love and support each other. And so I just, like, it's so hard for me to even put it into words sometimes, and I'm trying not to get all up in my feels because I'll get emotional. I'm such a crier. But I always want the girls to feel so special and so celebrated every single day and so invited, because it's like, I don't want to just invite somebody into this and then it feel like a transaction. I want to invite you into our community. I want to invite you into a life change. I want to invite you into a movement. Like, that is the whole heart and soul of this team. I'm gonna stop talking now for a minute. I'll go all day. Jess is gonna take it away for a minute.
Yeah, so obviously Kristen and I came from the same background, so we have a lot of the same goals and the same passion that drives our businesses. And we were talking a little bit yesterday about, again, how to put this into words and what to talk about and how to make this something that you girls can take something away from it and apply it to your business. and it not just be about like how amazing our team is, but how you guys can replicate that in your own businesses. And something that I think has really made a huge difference is the way that each of us share on Instagram and the way that we use our social media to share our heart and soul and who we are, so that the people that we're connecting with on social media are already our people. I know we talk a lot about, you know, how do you find girls that want to coach? I know as new coaches, that is kind of one of the hardest things, is like, we can get a girl to sign up for our challenge group and do the workouts with us. That's the easy part. It's finding the girls who want to step into the business with you and who want to work and run hard alongside you. And so I truly feel that our social media is so important in helping us find those people, and the way that we share on social media will attract the kind of people that we're looking for. And so, you know, obviously we do invites to challenge groups, and we talk about our workouts and our shakes and our supplements and all of that. But at the end of the day, if you're not sharing who you are as a person and you're not getting real and raw and vulnerable on social media, you're never going to attract your people. And so I think that that's been a huge shift in my business, is going from being so Beachbody minded and sharing just Beachbody to sharing more about who I am and the things I'm struggling with and the things I've gone through. And I know a lot of you don't know my story, but I recently shared on social media a really tough thing that I didn't know if I would ever share, but that Trevor and I miscarried several months ago. And I was super nervous to share something like that. I'm like, I don't know if this will be beneficial for people or if anybody even cares, or but sharing things like that is where I find my people, because it's how I can truly connect with people and empathize with people and develop those real relationships before I ever change that into a coaching invite or a challenge group invite. And I feel like the people that come into this with me are people that I'm already like friends with, because we have spent so much time connecting on social media. It's never just like a cold invite or I really love your dog, he's so cute, what's his name, now do you want to join my challenge group? It is a relationship that I have built. And so when that invite comes, they're like, she's my person. Like I want to be a part of what she's doing because she's invested so much of my life already. And so I feel like we have to utilize our social media to find our people. And I think that that's been a huge part of our team culture, is finding those people before they ever step into this with us and figuring out who they are and if they're a good fit for our culture before they, and being upfront with them, and, you know, not making this look like the easiest thing in the world, but being upfront with them and developing that relationship so that when they step into this, they already know what to expect. They're not stepping into this blindly, like, what do I do? What do you do? What is this about? Like, they already know that because we've developed that relationship. And so I think that that's just been a huge game changer in my business, is how I've used my social media to share this opportunity with other women.
Yeah. I think that when somebody feels invited into your life already, the invite to truly join you is just a formality. Like, just to piggyback off of that, because I think it's so true. Like, when somebody, it already feels like they have this relationship with you, it just is kind of a natural flow to then be like, I want to invite you into this other part of my life also.
Oh my goodness, I don't even know how I'm going to follow these girls up. They are truly amazing, and like, just feeding off what they were saying, when they first invited me to be a part of this, I was just like, they're just trying to make another sale and I'm not really sure about this. But then Kristen just continued to invest in me, and the way that I saw her showing up on social media every single day and her just sharing her heart on her Instagram, I was just like, okay, maybe God is calling me to do this. And so then when I did join her team, I mean, I've just experienced a whole life transformation. Like, Yes, I've gotten girls signed up and hit Success Club. Yes, I've hit Diamond. But more importantly, I've seen a huge transformation in myself, and I'm just so grateful to get to be a part of this team and this culture, and just get to share that with my girls. And the way that Kristen mentors me to be a coach, like I doubted myself for so long at first, and I was like, I don't think coaching's for me. Like I'm just going to work on myself. But the more I kept doing it, like God was just like, no, you can do this. Like you are capable. And just Kristen's reminders of that every single day, like truly investing in me as a coach, just pouring her heart and soul into me has really helped me to be a leader to my girls. And so I feel like without her, I would have never experienced what I've experienced. And so when I invite other coaches to do this with me, I want to share that opportunity with them and them get to experience exactly what I have. And I don't like it, like they said, it's so hard to put into words. It's just so great. And we want everyone to get to experience this.
Kristen's
I'm a
crying.
mess.
It is really impactful to hear your coaches say things like that, though, because I'm sure, Kristen, you do these things and you don't realize that you're doing them. And that's why I think it's really hard to like replicate it or even put it in words on like how is this even happening. So do you guys mind if I ask a couple questions, or we kind of open it?
Oh, go for it.
I'm gonna pull this closer so we
Yeah.
can see the chat.
I saw chat things popping up and I had no idea what's even going on in there. We'll just snuggle on the couch.
That's fine. Yeah, we can still see you guys. So more for Heather and Jessica, because I know you, Kristen, you kind of shared a little bit about like the recognition piece, but I'm also hearing this like pouring in a belief system also. Can you guys like put into words kind of, and I know this is really hard because it's like one of those like, I always think that coaches are best mentored when they're held accountable and they're poured like their belief, your belief that they are capable is fostered. I don't know, it's kind of hard to say, but like basically just being like their biggest hype woman. So would you guys agree, or what do you think has been the biggest thing that Kristen has done that has helped you all kind of take off and feel like I'm capable of doing this? Does that make sense?
Yeah, for sure. So I think when we were actually talking about this yesterday as well, like Kristen was saying, we have a coach group chat, which I'm sure a lot of us all do. But that's such a place where I feel like we are just, as a coaching community, in constant communication with each other. So it's not just like on Thursdays when it's payday or when we're shouting out like who hit Success Club. Like it is a constant everyday communication of like, what's your win for the week, or what is your goal for today, or let's do 100 invite challenge and whoever does it gets a prize. Like even within our coaching community, every day we're setting those goals for the day. So it's not just like, okay, I want to be at Success Club 10 by the end of the month. It's no, like, what's my goal today? Like what aspect of my business do I want to focus on today? And I think having her kind of take lead over that, and foster that community where we do celebrate even the smallest of successes has made such a huge difference. Like we don't wait until the end of the month to celebrate each other. We celebrate each other every single day. And so I think that has been such a huge part of just her instilling that belief, because it's like, it's so much easier when you have these little daily goals than when you have this like huge end of the month goal. And so I think if you can just take it day by day, or even if it's a week by week, if you can take the small steps, then it becomes something so much bigger, and it gives you that little, like every day, that little bit more of belief in yourself. Like you believe in yourself a little bit more because you hit that goal for today or that goal for this week. And so it's like, okay, well, if I can do that, then I can do something so much bigger. And so I think just that constant communication and that constant encouragement has made such a difference in our girls just really feeling like they're truly capable of doing this business and being successful in it. And so I don't know, Heather, do you have anything else?
I will add to that and also answer this question that was in the chat that says, is that group just constantly growing as you add new women, or do you have your own group chat? So we have our like big group chat, and then just recently I've gotten up enough courage because of the way that Kristen has mentored me to kind of break off and do my own thing with my girls. So I'm still a part of hers, but I also have my own group chat with my girls. So that I have something to add them to and kind of do the same thing and pour into them the way that Kristen does for us.
And this might sound super like basic, and it might be really easy for me because Jess has been my best friend for a couple years, but it's like, if you hype your girls up and you talk to them the way that you would talk to your best friend, like the way that I'm gonna hype my best friend up, that's how I want to hype up all of my girls. And then like Heather, they end up becoming one of my best friends. But it's like, if you can just shift your mindset to like thinking about talking to somebody as your coach, like this girl's my coach underneath me. No, think of her like one of your besties. Talk to her the way that you would talk to your best friend. Like, there are times where, you know, as best friends, like she and I might say some tough love to each other, but at the end of the day, like if I need hype, I know she's gonna hype me, and vice versa. Like it's so basic and it's so simple, but it makes a world of difference.
I love that. And I'm going to like reiterate that, because there are some people who are brand new on this call. Like, don't wait and do this with your coaches. Like, if you have one challenger, or if you have two challengers this month, put them in a message pod. You could do the exact same thing what they're doing. They're saying like, hold us accountable. You know, that's essentially what's your goal for today? 100 invite challenge, you know, maybe it's a water challenge. Maybe it's, you know, like this doesn't have to wait until you have a team. Start growing those relationships now with your challengers. And then, you know, recognizing when you do it, like it's so, I think we overcomplicate mentoring and leadership. And it is literally like holding someone accountable, saying, let's do this. We're going to do it together. And then celebrating when it happens, and letting them know, you know, how proud you are of them. So I think that's so awesome. Okay. Amy said, do you guys run a new coach mentorship together or individually? So what does your new coach mentorship look like?
It's in the works.
Yeah, we actually have not done one yet, but it is in the works, and we're going to run it together.
Okay. So you are doing this, you just don't realize you're doing it. So how do you get a new coach started? Let's start there.
I always just want to plug them into the community. And also, like, a lot of my girls who ended up being coaches started as a discount coach. So like, don't let somebody who is like, oh, I just want the discount, don't let that stop you from mentoring them. Because even if it's not the same way that you're going to mentor somebody who just says that they want to go all in on the business, if you pour into those girls' lives and you keep showing up for them, sometimes that clicks that light on for them where they're like, I really like what you got going on here, and I want to do that too. I mean, Heather started as a discount coach. My girl Hannah started as a discount coach, and they're both killing it. And so it's like, sometimes you just need to let people dip their toes in the water and keep watching you, because they are watching you. All of your girls are watching what you're doing, especially the ones who have already signed up with you. So I think,
my coffee's leaking.
Just like keep pouring into everybody. And I mean, I always have to remind myself, because I'm an Enneagram 3, and so I take everything super personally too. I always have to remind myself, sorry, we're a mess over here, that the people who are supposed to walk this journey with you and who are supposed to coach with you and be a part of your team, you're not going to miss them. They're never going to pass you by. The people who are supposed to do this with you and be your people are going to be. And I always remind myself of that with like every no, or every person who doesn't want to do this or whatever, like, that's okay. That's okay.
And I think as far as like a new coach mentorship, what typically how I do it is I do have like a new coach packet that is just some like getting started stuff, really basic. And so I always send that to my girls that are ready to sign up as coaches. have them go through that, and then obviously set up the one-on-one call at that point, and go over the basics of the business. What we have in the works right now is actually like a 14-day new coach university thing where we plan to do like 5 to 10 minute videos on certain topics, like on Success Club and on invites and social media posts and things like that. So that's definitely in the works. But for now, my new coach mentorship just looks like you get your initial like welcome to coaching, go through that. That's got some basics. Then we set up our one-on-one call. Then you get in. I have specific message pods for like my newer coaches. That way they're like not just thrown into this huge group of coaches that's been doing it for 3 or 4 months. Like they get that special one-on-one attention, because I know that as a new coach, we have a million bazillion questions, and I want them to not feel like intimidated because they see all of us in the chat saying like, oh, like I did this, and they're like, wait, what the heck does that mean? And so I think giving really, really individualized special attention to your new coaches is super important so that they don't feel intimidated. Because I remember when I first started coaching, I let one of my coaches get on like a big call like the day after she started, and she was like, this is overwhelming. Like, I don't think I can do this. And I'm like, no. We're not going to start there. And so I think it's really, really important that you're giving them the attention that they need and creating a safe place where they feel, because she told me, she was like, I just don't really feel like I can ask questions because there's so many people in that call, but I have so many questions. And so it's really important that you're giving them a safe place where they feel like they can ask those questions and not be intimidated by these like coaches that are super successful already.
Such good tips. Like, I think we overlook the power of community, and even if it's like a small community, like we overlook, it doesn't all have to be about the systems or the trainings or the perfect videos or the perfect graphics. It doesn't have to be about that. It has to be about like, I'm going to be here for you. There's other people just like you and we're going to get through this together. You know, like I'm going to answer your questions, because all of you guys sharing, all of you guys on this call are capable of mentoring another coach, because you've been a coach for a couple of days or a week, or you know what Success Club is and your new coach doesn't, or it's just, I'll never forget the first time I had like a working coach, and we literally just met up at Panera. I had no training. My upline had no training. We had nothing organized. We met up at Panera and we just talked. Like, we had a conversation about, what do you do? Well, I do my workouts and I post on social media. And she got to say, what does that look like? So we just like overcomplicate it so much, and it doesn't have to be, you just have to give them attention. Like you guys keep saying, is like, give them that attention, give them that time to ask those questions. Okay. What other questions do we have? And you all are welcome to take yourself off mute also if you have a question.
Okay, I'll ask. How soon, so you're kind of messaging other women, and how soon do you send out an invite? Like, is it the same kind of, or, do you ever send out the invite like right away, or is it like you're building community first and then you send out the invite? How does that look?
Go ahead.
Oh, I think it's so different for every person.
I was say that too.
Yeah, I don't have like a formula, I guess, that I follow. It's so different, because sometimes you're messaging someone on social media and that conversation happens so fluidly and so easily. And, you're having a conversation like, hey, I also see you do this. And that makes it really easy when they start that conversation. Mm-hmm. But that doesn't happen all the time. And so it's never something like, I think I have, because we've all gotten those cold message invites like, oh, you have a super inspiring social media, I want you to test my product or whatever. Like, we've all gotten that, and we don't want to be those people. And so I always have in my mind, like, I don't want this girl to think I messaged her back and forth 3 times so that I could invite her. Yeah. Like, I don't want her to feel that. And so for me, like, I want to have a super established relationship with you before I make an invite. And so sometimes, and that doesn't, there's no time frame to that. Like, sometimes you can form a really strong connection in 3 or 4 messages back and forth. And sometimes it takes a week or it takes a month, you know, and it's so different. But I think it's just super important to develop some level of trust before you ever make that invite, because those are the people that, first of all, they're not going to think you're just trying to make a sale because they know your heart already and they know you're not that kind of person. They're also the people that are going to stick with you long term. Like, we have so many people that we invite and they join us and then they like fall off the wagon. Like, I know we've all had that, but I think if you've already instilled that relationship and that trust, like, they want to do it with you and they want to be a part and they will be with you for the long haul. And so I don't really know how to answer that because I feel like I don't have like a set, I send this many messages and then I invite. It's just totally a feeling. I don't know.
I do have, and I don't know where I got it. I totally can't take credit for it. I've tweaked it a little bit, but like, it's not my script. I, honest to goodness, couldn't tell you where it came from, but it's been a fantastic script for me too, as far as like inviting somebody who maybe I've been friends with in the past or like went to college with or have connected for months on social media and never made the leap to invite them. And it's kind of like, just long story short, to simplify it, it's kind of a, hey, I've thought about reaching out to you a million times, but I just never wanted to like seem icky or step on your toes. But, you know, I just really wanted to invite you in to be a part of this with me. Like, this has been such a big, impactful part of my life. And there's some more in there. And I'm like, and then at the end, I just say, would it be okay if I send you some more information on it? And I've gotten so many incredible responses back from that, even if they're like not ready to make the leap yet. I've just like that particular wording. I feel like you're breaking down the barrier automatically of saying like, listen, I've really thought about this a million times, and you're just somebody that I really would love to do life with more. I just wanted to invite you to be a part of this with me. And I'm happy to share that with anybody who wants it, or if you guys want me to like put it underneath the recording for the team call, whatever, put it in the event page. Totally happy to share that. And I started off with like a funny thing lately too that's like, hey, happy Saturday, even though nobody really knows what day it is anymore, with like the little weird wonky emoji. And so like, I think when you invite with a little bit of humor and a little bit of like real life, people see you as more of a human being, as opposed to the, hey, did you see I'm running a challenge group this month? I'd love for you to join.
Okay, so Kelly said if they say yes, based off of what you said, like if they want more information, what do you send to not word vomit or be overwhelming? So
I actually stole a page from Jess's playbook. Jess likes to send voice messages after the initial conversation if they're interested in hearing more. And I found that people are really receptive to that too, because then they get to hear your voice. And then if my dog's barking in the background or I like totally fumble over my words, it just, again, it makes you sound more human instead of like you just copy pasted a message to them. So then I can kind of personalize it, and usually I'll hop on and say something about like, hey, this is just easier for me to send you a quick voice message. I've been doing this program that's an 80-day program. It's like a balance of strength and cardio. And I've been doing this time nutrition program with it. Totally thought I was going to hate the meal plan because I so love to eat. And I found that I actually enjoy it. Like, I just kind of explain things to them, and I tell them like that there's different options. If that's not their jam, like they can do bar or boxing or whatever. And I just try to give them some more information, but also kind of keep it simple and base level too. But just share like a little bit more about what I'm personally doing and see if that's also something that they would like.
I think too, to individualize it, and Meg, in all of your conversations, you do this too. And so this is definitely something that I've taken from you. But when they say, okay, yeah, you can send me some more info, like, I don't want to just send them all the info right off the bat. Like, I think it's so important, like you've always done and said, to find out their goals so that you can speak to their goals, because not everybody has the same goals and not everybody's looking for the same things. And if you don't know what your people are looking for, you can't serve them. And so I think that we have to figure out first what our girls need from us. and then we can proceed forward with like, this is what you get. Because I too think it just makes someone feel so much more valued and important when you ask them like, okay, what are your goals? Like, you obviously want more information. They want more information from you for a reason. So what are your goals? How can I help you? And then once you have that in play, then you can start speaking to, oh, that's awesome. Okay, let me share with you, and then emphasize obviously a little bit more towards what, if they need more support with nutrition, obviously you get the workouts, but also we have these really great nutrition programs and things like that. Whereas like if they aren't huge on nutrition, well, we can start with this like super simple program. So finding out their needs first and then sending them what they get, I feel like is much less overwhelming.
Yeah, and if y'all have not like gone through and looked at some of the wording that Meg has shared on the Spirit and Spunk Tribe page, go back and look at that, because she asks fantastic questions. Like, I get so much inspiration from reading Meg's conversations because she's just so good at it. And her conversations, like the way that she asks those questions and the way that she does things, it just flows so well. And I think that's something that we all have room to grow in, because like we get so excited about this and like it's so easy to overwhelm people.
Conversations are literally everything. Like social media, yes, and conversations. Like it is, and I will be 100% honest, I stunk at them for like the first 6 months until I remember, I can't even find the recording yet, but I watched a call that Bonnie Engel, my like, obsessed with coach, did about conversations, and it like changed the game for me. And I was like, oh, and that was 5 years ago. I've done the same flow in conversations, tweaked it every now and then here and there, but it's so important. So thank you for that. Lisa said, what if it's a coaching type invite? So I think going back to I've been thinking about you, like, can't believe I haven't, said this type thing. Would you want some more info? What if it's about coaching? How do you respond to that?
I typically invite to be a challenger before I invite to coaching. So it would be very, very rare for me to reach out to somebody and just strictly invite them to the coaching opportunity unless they have responded to a story on my poll or something along those lines, or like they said something really kind of deep on a coaching post of mine. Like I'm always reaching out to people to be a challenger first, because I think to be a good coach, you have to be a product of the product. You have to believe in what we're doing in the community and in all of that. And I always, whenever I'm having these conversations with people, I give the coaching option. I tell people that they can do what I do, or that I'm like, you can sign up and you can use this strictly for the discount, and that's totally cool too. But it is very, very rare that I would ever take the leap to invite to coaching before I'm inviting you to be a challenger.
Okay, so I'm going to piggyback off that. So you do invite to coaching at some point in time. They're just challengers, and you have that like super solid relationship. They're getting killer results. Is that what you base it off of? Or how does that kind of transition from like you're noticing them, they're showing up, all that stuff into being a part of your all's team then?
Yeah, I typically, like, if somebody's really like showing up in our challenge group and they've been like consistent, that's somebody that then I'm gonna say, you've really been killing it. And especially if they're like commenting on other people's posts, or they're starting to share things on their social media about what they're doing, then it's like, girl, you're already doing what a coach does. Like, don't overcomplicate it. You're coaching right now. When you're sharing your journey on social media and you're showing up and you're supporting other girls in our challenge groups, I'm like, you're already doing the dang thing, so do it.
Again, we overcomplicate inviting to coaching. It is literally like I'll never forget, my coach said, I think you'd be really great at this. Have you ever thought about it? That was her invite. And I was like, oh, she thinks I'd be good at this. Okay. So you guys have to like kind of like Like especially if they're your challengers, they kind of have you up on this little pedestal already. So when you say things, when you encourage them, whenever you let them know that you think they would be good at something, they're not like, oh, ew, gross. Like she invited me to coaching. They're not thinking that. They're thinking, man, she thinks I'd be really good at this. Okay. So I love that. Yeah, that was a long question, Kelly. I'm going to let them.
Oh man.
Melissa said, how do you respond kindly to say you can work this biz in the ins and outs of your day? That's literally how I respond. I'm like, I have worked this business working full time. I have worked this business working full time and going to school full time. I am a wife. I have friends. I have responsibilities and things that I do outside of just work. And I think, it's not something that you have to devote 40 hours a week to be successful. I'm like, but we make time for what's important to us. If you can find an hour 5 days a week, you can start to run this business.
I am going to answer Kelly's question about reaching out to your challengers. So I message them probably like every other week or so, just checking in on them, seeing how things are going, especially if I'm not seeing them show up in my group as much. Just make sure everything's okay, checking on their personal life. And then some of them are already posting on social media, like Kristen was saying, and I'll just be like, girl, you're already doing this. You would be so good at what I do. So have you ever thought about coaching? And that's how I just got 3 of my brand new coaches. They came from my challenge group, and that's literally what I did. And they got started and I already knew what to do pretty much because they were already doing it. They just didn't know it.
Yeah, I've never done like reach out to the entire group. It's always been one-on-one because I certainly think that as coaches, you know who's going to make a good coach, and that coaching's not for everybody. And so I think you find those people and you reach out to them one-on-one and just make, and that's, I feel like the basis of my business is like, make it personal. Like you don't want to just throw something out there and hope that like somebody bites. Like we're not fishing here. And so, you want to hand pick your people, and you want to have people on your team that like you want to work with. Like we get to pick our coworkers. Like that's so cool. So like reach out to your people. And so it's always been one-on-one for me. And then back to what Melissa said, just to allude a little bit more to what they said about like the time, that's obviously something that people have such a misconception of, that this has to be a full-time job or this has to take so many hours of your day. But like, I feel like, all of us work full-time. All of us, I did back when I was coaching previously, I was in PA school and like in the hospital for 16 hours a day and like taking bathroom breaks to eat my time nutrition meal and send a couple messages. And so like you can make it work if it, like Kristen said, if it's important to you. And so I think, something I've tried to do with my coaches is, okay, like, because I know, especially for people who are married, it's really hard when they become a coach to balance like not being on social media on your phone all the time because you're so excited and eager to work the business, but then like still devoting time for your family. I know a lot of my coaches have struggled with that. I have struggled with that. And so helping them formulate a plan. Like I was talking to one of my coaches a couple weeks ago. Okay, let's make a plan. Like, what time are you going to wake up? How long are you going to do this? When do you have like a 10-minute break in the day that you can send out like 5 invites? And so helping your coaches formulate that schedule is super important so that they realize, okay, this is not that hard. Like she's being successful and she's not pouring 40 hours a week into it. Like I can be successful too. And so helping them, again, constant communication.
Yeah, and to kind of piggyback on what you were talking about earlier about like inviting somebody from the challenge group to coaching opportunity, I think a lot of times somebody just needs you to believe in them before they can believe in themselves. Somebody needs to know that you have faith in them, that they can do this. And so like I think that sometimes just literally reaching out to somebody and saying, I think you'd be really great at this. Have you ever thought about it? They probably have not given it a second thought because maybe they just don't have that confidence in themselves that they could do it yet. And sometimes it takes you being the one who says, I believe in you first for them to believe in themselves.
I like that. So Lauren said, what do you do with girls that are watching your stories yet ghosting you in the chat after giving them info?
I continue to build the relationship outside of Beachbody because if they've ghosted me, and we've talked about this opportunity before, and we've talked about them joining my challenge group and they were interested, that interest is there, but maybe they just need they need a reminder that you're invested in who they are as a person. They need that reminder that this is a personal relationship and it's not just a sale. And sometimes they're just scared and they might need a little bit more time, but you know that they're watching you. So continue to build a relationship with them, continue to connect with them on other levels. Like these girls who have ghosted me, I have a couple of them that like come to mind immediately, who like we had a great conversation and they just ghosted. I continue to show up when they post something on their stories that's relatable to me, and I'm like, oh my God, girl, for real. Like, and just continue to build that relationship with them and totally leave Beachbody out of it. And I'll circle back with them at some point and say, hey, I know we had talked a while back. I'm getting ready to start up a new group. Is it something that you might be interested in? Is now a good time for you? So, you know, like keeping it conversational, but, you know, keeping the relationship going before I come back for another invite.
I'm going to reiterate, that's such a good tip. That is such a good tip because I think we get so caught up in like, well, I'm going to send another follow-up and I'm going to send another follow-up. And maybe we just need to like take a step back and realize now's not the right time for them. But 2 months down the road, it might be. Okay.
Yeah, Kelly, I had the same thing happen. Girl I'd been talking to forever, had been kind of ghosting me, putting me off, whatever, months back and forth. And she messaged me the other day just out of the blue and was like, hey, I'm in front of my computer to sign up now. What do I need to do? I was like, oh, okay. Keep building the relationship.
Yeah, I have this coach. Her name is Paige Farr. We talked for months and months and months. She never responded. Like, she didn't never respond. But it was one day, it was like, okay, now I'm ready. And it was like 6 months probably after our initial relationship. And luckily we have a lot in common. So I just kept that relationship flowing. It's like, it's going to happen. You know, like there's
I feel like she's doing pretty well now too, you know?
I don't know. I guess sometimes I did it to my coach for 10 months. 10 months. Like we can't expect people to say yes right away. And I feel like sometimes the people that say yes right away fall off right away also. Well, sometimes they don't.
This girl was hanging around for a while before she signed up.
I was watching.
They're doing their research by watching you. That's why you can't get rid of the social media part because they're watching you so closely. There you go. Yeah. Morgan just hit diamond, had watched for 8 months. Like, I agree.
That's right, Lisa. They're building trust in you.
Yeah, I love that. Kelly said, reminding us to not responding has nothing to do with us. Sometimes we take it so personally.
Yes.
I loved, and it was like the National Wake Up Call a few weeks ago where she was talking about, maybe it was a National Wake Up Call where she was talking about how like you go online shopping and you put something in your cart and then you get those emails that like, oh, are you going to check out? And it's like, it's not because you don't want it. It's just maybe you got busy or it's just not the perfect time. So like we do that in so many areas of our lives. Other people are going to do that with this too. And we should expect that. Like, you're not going to go invest your money or your time in something unless you're 100% sure that it's what you want. And so just like, I'm not just going to go put something in my cart and buy it on a whim. And so you have to give people that time and give people the time to build trust in you.
Such a great thought. Yes. I have a pair of shoes I've been trying to buy for my toddler for like 3 months and they keep reminding me, hey, it's in your cart. Hey, we got that size in stock now, all that stuff.
And also sometimes like we've all done this before too, where you read a message and you don't respond right away and then you get busy doing something and then you totally forget to ever respond. And so it's like, why do we automatically assume the worst when somebody ghosts us when we've been guilty of ghosting people completely innocently? Like, I know it from my own heart, like that I don't mean to ghost somebody. So why every time when somebody stops messaging me, am I like, oh my God, she hates me now. She doesn't want to join me. She hates me. She's never going to talk to me again. Maybe she's just living her life. I think we got all the questions.
Yeah.
Okay, I had one more. Sorry.
Go
Go
for it.
for it.
I was just thinking about this. So I noticed, like, kind of when I watched Kristen and Jessica, especially, like, at least what I've noticed is that you guys don't necessarily invite to like a specific, like, maybe boot camp or a specific thing. You're just always like inviting like each month and saying like you have this many. Are you, I mean, maybe I'm missing it, but are you ever inviting like to a specific thing? Like when you started 80 Day, you specifically did for that, but then when you're in the 80 days, do you just invite people each month, or how do you do that as far as like inviting?
We do have another, like, a monthly group every month too. So we start a new group every single month. And then, like, I think we all do this, where once the monthly group is over, they go into a long-term group. So we do always have a monthly group that's going on. But just because I've been sharing so much about 80 Day, I have a lot of girls who have been interested in doing 80 Day, whether or not they're on the same schedule as the rest of us who are doing it.
So like when you're talking to them, when they like message you, do you like you'll probably go through the questions with them and then find out if that's what they want to start with, or do you specifically say like, hey, since you're new and you haven't done anything before, would you want to do this program? Or like how do you kind of talk to them about that in like a conversation flow?
Yeah, I typically, I think a lot of that comes from when you ask them what they want to accomplish or what their goals are. And then just finding out a little bit more. I always ask girls, like, so if you were to do a workout program, would you want to devote like 30 minutes a day, or do you like longer hour-long workouts? And like, as you start figuring out their needs and their wants, then you can effectively make that invite. Okay, well, why don't we start with, okay, maybe you're not into hour-long workouts yet and you're brand new at this. Why don't we start with like a 21-day program, which I love using the 21-day fix as kind of my starter program. One, because it's 3 weeks long, and just that sense of accomplishment when you finish a program is so rewarding. And so I like to start with that one a lot. And I feel like it's doable for people. They get results quickly. It's got the nutrition. It's really nutrition focused. And so I think that just comes from the needs of your people. And if I have somebody that's like, okay, your results from 80 Day are killer, I want that, then I'm like, okay, well, let's do that.
Right.
So it's just, again, the conversation and figuring out their needs. And then if it's like a new mom or someone who, for me, like I have autoimmune disease, so I have a lot of people that reach out to me that also have autoimmune disease, and they're like, I really can't do anything heavy on my joints. I'm like, okay, well, let's do like bar or something like that. So figuring out their needs before you ever like even mention a program is important, I think. But I think, sorry, I don't even know if that answered your question, but as far as like inviting to specific things, it is hard when you're in the midst of like a super long program. But like I started sharing last week about inviting to a 21-day program. So, and that's not that everyone has to do that one necessarily. Like I'm still going to talk to them about their needs, but just to make it just so that when they see that invite, they're like, oh, that's something I could do. Well, then that invites them into the conversation and we can start having that conversation.
So,
yeah, and I think naturally, like when you're doing a specific program, you get more people who are interested in that particular thing. You know, especially if it's something unique like the 10 rounds or bar blend or something like that, where it's like totally different. I think sometimes you'll pick people's interest, but then it's also like, if you've been talking to somebody and you know that they go to CrossFit, they're not going to be somebody who wants to sign up to do bar. So those are the people that, like, when MBF comes out, I'll reach back out to them and say, okay, I think this new program that just launched is one that you would absolutely love, because I know what kind of workout they might like. So I think that definitely does help too when you're looking at who to invite and how to invite them, and maybe what program to share with them too.
I love this. I feel like we've like hit on so many different topics. I feel like when we open up to questions, it always goes back to conversations and, you know, like how do you get people started, that type of thing. So I just want everybody to always realize that like these calls always go back to kind of the same core basis. And the reason is because this business is so simple. So if you are thinking that this is hard or you're overcomplicating it, you probably are. Or if you think this is hard or it's complicated, it's because you are making it that way. You know, I feel like when we ask these speakers these questions, they're always the same questions and they're usually the same answers. If you really get down to it, you know, make it personal, you know, make that connection really important. Tailor what it is that you're talking about to that person, not what you want, but what they want. And I think that's just so important. And you guys hit it on like completely on the head. And I think a lot of your all success is that community. It is creating that, and every single person on this call can create that community, even if they are free free people. You know, maybe it's, I have people that are doing the 14-day free thing. Cool. Create a community. Doesn't have to be a group. Doesn't have to be crazy. Doesn't have to even be bod groups. It can literally be just a message pod, like you guys have done your coach mentorship, your ongoing mentorship, your push to diamond, all of those things that you all have accomplished has been through a message pod, essentially, correct? Like it hasn't been anything crazy big or, you know, super, structured. Is that correct?
Yeah, I'm not a structured person. I am like fly by the seat of my pants, no organization. So like, just let me send you a text message or a voice message because I don't even like to type out a text. So like, I just fly by the seat of my pants. And I think that is inviting to people. I think people are like, oh my gosh, okay, she doesn't have this like planner that's color coded and has something for every 30 minutes of the day, what she's going to do. Like, I just make it work and I make it real. And I think people like that. And people are already texting. So like, you can't tell me you're not going to check in with your text messages. Like you might not check in with bod groups, like you're looking at your text messages. So I just use what you have, make it simple.
Just
I will say too, like do things before you feel like you're ready. Like just because you're not a diamond doesn't mean you can't have a team call for your team. Like get on there and show your team your face, because doing these video calls too, I think it helps build that community. And like, I don't ever have some formal slideshow presentation when we do our team calls. Like I'm hopping on there and you get all the real raw crazy, like here's Kristen coming at you today. And like, I think that helps build community too, because it's like, I'm willing to show up in front of my girls messy and imperfect and let them see that as a leader, I don't have to have it all together all the time, and I still feel like I'm being successful with my business. And sometimes I think that helps break down that barrier for your team too, because they're like, oh, okay, well maybe she don't have her whole life together. I don't need to have it all figured out and be perfect either.
Yeah, I asked Kristen yesterday, I said, we don't have to make a slideshow for this, do we?
I was like, well, we're not, so.
So, yeah.
I love it. Okay, Heather, any little final words? I feel like they've kind of closed out their little thoughts. I don't mean to put you on the spot, but.
I'll add one thing. Like Kristen said, you know, before you hit diamond, you might as well act like one, because you're going to get there. And so I heard on a call before I was ever a diamond, like, you got to start acting like it. You got to walk the walk. I mean, you're going to get there. So go ahead and do your team calls. Even if I only had one coach up under me for the longest. And I was so nervous to just have her. And I was like, I can't do a call with just one coach. And now I have a few more, but I was still nervous about doing my own thing with them. But I started doing it. And so I feel like I'm growing as a coach, just stepping out of my comfort zone. And that's completely what I've done in this coaching opportunity, is stepped out of my comfort zone and becoming the leader that God has called me to be.
I have a quick question. I'm a new coach and I don't have any clients yet, right? And I feel like I've been very scared that if I get one person, how am I going to run a group with one person? And I don't know if everybody else is very experienced. And I feel like that's made me very shy to invite, because I have in my mind, I need to have at least 5 people. I need to, like, how am I going to run a group with one person? So I don't know if you guys have some advice on, I mean, I know you're going to say just do it, but how do I, how do I do it?
I would say if you feel like maybe, like, first of all, one-on-one accountability is powerful anyway. So even if you only have a one person, you get to be their accountability partner and they get to be yours. And that's so powerful. And that's also going to make them feel so loved and supported as well. But secondly, too, don't be afraid to find a coach buddy that you can run those groups with. So find somebody else who's maybe a new coach that wants to start running a group, and y'all run it together. And then you've already got 2 people in the group, or maybe you get 2 other coaches to run it with you, and then you've already got 3 ladies in the group, and you feel like you have a community to invite to. And I know that there are other girls on this call who probably feel the same way and who would love to have somebody to help run a group with them. So don't be afraid to reach out when you feel like you need something like that too. Like, we're all in this together, girlfriend.
Yeah, I can speak to that because I was where you are, and I felt like I couldn't do that either. But these girls welcomed me into their, they were like, let's just do this together. And so we ran our groups together for the longest, and then we ended up having to split a little bit because just our groups grew so much. But don't be afraid, like they said, to get a partner or to start a group with your coach or something like that.
Okay, last question, and then we're getting off. About the 14-day free thing, do you ever lead with that if someone is on the fence?
Not typically. So I mean, I used to offer that, like, back when I was coaching before, but it's not something that I typically lead with. And part of the reason why is I feel like somebody who isn't ready to commit to investing in themselves isn't somebody who's going to stick around either. And not that that's not a good resource. I mean, we've run free groups too, and I have coaches who come from that, but it's more of like a structured thing. Like, I'm planning to run this free group and offer these resources for you. And so that gives people an opportunity to dip their toes in the water without giving them a cop out, if that makes sense.
And it's definitely something I never ever lead with. It's not that I would never offer that.
Yeah.
But I feel like as coaches, we have the total solution to offer somebody in a challenge pack. And if you're starting off offering the 14-day free trial, you're robbing them of the Shakeology and the nutrition aspect that they get when they do sign up with a challenge pack. And so I think it's important to lead with that. Now, if they're like totally against it and absolutely not, and they just want to try the 3-month, like, of course I'm not going to say, no, you can't do that. Like, I'm going to let them be a part of that, but I never lead with that because I feel like you are missing out on so much by not having the challenge pack with the Shakeology.
Yeah, and I think since there's so many like free workouts that we can send just a link to, you might, like you said, figure out what it is, what type of workouts they like, and send them 2 or 3 links to, you know, maybe it's Bar Blend and 21-Day Fix, and I'm trying to think of another one that's kind of a starter-ish type program. You know, if they're looking for that, if they're looking for intense, send them the work, and, you know, like 21-Day Fix Extreme. So it's like, specify what it is that they can have access to and send them a couple links to just try out some workouts. Because if they're not going to try out those workouts, they're definitely not going to invest, you know.
And I've done that several times where I'll send them the links to some of the free workouts as opposed to just saying, well, here, sign up for this 14-day free trial. And then, like, I feel like that gets too complicated then, trying to switch them over. And it is easier to say, here's some free sample workouts. And sometimes I'll even, like, there's like 10 of them that I have on my phone. Sometimes I'll send them all of them and say, you can try any of these, but these 3 would be my top recommendations for you just based on what we've talked about. But you can give any of them a try and let me know what you think or if you have any questions. And I do kind of like doing it that way as well. And
Yeah.
I've offered that to a lot of people who were like, oh, I don't know. On the
And
fence or
Brandy,
whatever.
I have those links somewhere in Spirit and Spunk Tribe, so I'll tag you in where all those links to those free workouts are, so you can have them. Okay, thank you, girls, for sharing your heart, for being together. I feel like it's even like more meaningful that you guys got to lead this call all together, actually together. So lots of great things to think about. I think you guys hit it on the nail of how simple you keep it, how community and relationship focused you keep it, and I think that's just something we can all take away to like just keep in our mind of like, it's good, like just be you, just keep it simple, just share what it is that you get to do and hold people accountable. So I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys have a great Memorial Day weekend. Go do something fun. Stay safe, but I will talk to you guys later. So see ya.
Thank you.
Thank you.